Well, I guess I am on. Hey, greetings. Welcome to the Hawkeye Rising YouTube channel. I'm Clint, your Hawkeye. Let's see what we can get up to this evening. I thought we'd hopefully spend a few minutes together. This is not live again. I am still figuring out trying some things out, getting a little comfortable behind the mic. This is certainly not an easy experience, nor should it be, but it's something to definitely get used to, because it is a skill, in part. Clear communication, clear thinking, clearly expressed. Had a business writing teacher, professor, drill that into very, very good idea, thought and idea. Good communication, clear thinking, clearly expressed. So that's what I'm trying to do, and practicing it and failing it miserably. Thank you if you've seen any of my previous one or two videos. You can see me fumbling along, tripping over things, some dates, some words. Anyway, all that to say, thank you for being here. Today is March 11, and I've had some notes put aside, and I thought we could run through these things together. And why don't we jump right in? Is there anything I can bring up right now? Not maybe okay, let's attempt to share a screen again. Okay, thank you. All right. I'm believing. Okay, here we go. All right. So got some dates. So okay, I'll just read and paraphrase as I go. So I've had Rob Skiba in the background on for background noise. Rob Skiba passed away October 13, 2021. October 13th, immediate. Well, it's the day after October 12th, which is known as Crowley Mass. Crowley's death date. You know what? It might even be okay. Let's just leave it at that. Crowley Mass. Tells you what I know. Okay, Templar suppression, October 13th, 1307. You have Pope Paul III's papacy beginning on October 13th, 1534. And we have Sir Toby Matthew's death date anniversary of October 13th, which all the way back in 1655. Toby Matthew, SJ, or Jesuit Toby Matthew, is known for his relationship with Francis Bacon. They may have even been the same person. Is it convinced, or I'm of the thought, or I've gone down gone down the path of Toby Matthew being Shakespeare, or if Francis Bacon is indeed Shakespeare. And if that is true, then we go back to the principle, or the clear line of thinking that of Art of War, 13 article author or translator Jean Joseph Marie Amiot, that it wasn't the Jesuit that translated Art of War, 13 articles in 1772 from a Chinese military treatise, but in fact it was the voice of Lorenzo Ricci, the Jesuit superior general of the day, 18th Jesuit superior general. And if Francis Bacon and Toby Matthew were behind Shakespeare and the 1611 King James Bible, then it may in fact be the voice of Claudio, Third Superior General Claudio Acquaviva, Claudio Living Waters Acquaviva. Interesting thought and idea. So Rob Skiba, I have a link here. Rob Skiba, I've not tried this. I don't know if volume will work, but I have a digital or video citation of Rob Skiba saying he was a missionary to China, and see if this works.
And when I was a missionary and was in China in 2006, I spent some time in Singapore and Beijing and Wuhan. And during my time in China, I was privileged to go to the Great Wall of China.
So that's Skiba saying, and whether or not that the audio came through. Anyway, in 06, missionary to Wuhan, China, and a couple other locations. Another video citation of the late Rob Skiba on Knowing Your Enemy mentions Sun Tzu, An Art of War, without any Jesuit reference.
You would study nomenclature, where you would know every detail about the enemies, because you got to know which one to shoot at. You know, obviously the one shooting at you is a good indicator, but there may be other situations, you know. So you got to know your enemy. So I was talking with somebody in the back there about the book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And it goes through all of that kind of stuff. You got to know your enemy. And we have an enemy. Don't you know that? We have an enemy, right? Yeah, we do. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And
I'll put these links just so I'll put the links in the description. Skiba in passing alludes to being a former Boy Scout. Okay, so one of Rob Skiba's interviews with Johnny, their discussion, and Skiba in passing mentions and that he was a former Boy Scout.
You guys, you said you guys came here because it sucked over there. the great dream, you know, coming to America, wonderful America. America's awesome. America's wonderful. I love America too. Third generation Army guy myself, as patriotic as they come, Boy Scouts, the whole deal.
oh yeah.
I want to know how 9/11 initially affected you, and then when did you come to the conclusion that the official story was not true?
And we've covered Boy Scout material, Baden-Powell before. The Skiba given himself away.
It is not surprising then if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness. Have you ever read the book, The Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis? Where was the primary place, his junior demon that was in training, where was the primary place he wanted to set up shop? In the church. That's right. In the church. We'd be hopelessly naive to think that that wouldn't be where Satan would set up shop. Because it's the first things he does, right? When he shows up in the garden, yea, hath God really said? Right? He knows the word of God. He twists it and distorts it, but he knows it. And so it should be no surprise to us then that people are going to show up with all the appearance of servants of righteousness, and really they're working for the other side.
Let's see. I think Skiba is correct. Rob Skiba is correct to say Nimrod is the Antichrist in part. Okay, but it's only half a truth and therefore a lie. The seat of the papacy is the preserved seat of Nimrod, and the seat of the high priest of Dagon, from Babylon through to Rome, which Skiba never says, but he does say this. There's another digital or video citation that him saying the Antichrist doesn't come from the Vatican.
So, in other words, he's not coming from Kenya? Or Hawaii? Or the Vatican? Or the European Union? Or any other place that we always hear some prophecy teacher telling us? It says, I'm like, look, I don't have any letters after my name. I didn't go to seminary, but I can read. So I don't know why all these people are out there saying, it's this guy, it's that guy, it's what. If they didn't crawl up out of the bottomless pit, they're not a candidate.
Interestingly enough, though, if the seat of the papacy is the preserved seat of Nimrod, then there's your link. And if the seat of the papacy, in which I believe this is true, is the office of the Antichrist, then we have the winner of who the Antichrist is, all popes. I have a 211 Castaway and the Joker. Sun Tzu and Time Clock's significance in cinema. If all cinema is Jesuit theater. We covered some times and dates in my previous video. Certainly not authoritative, but just a reminder that even Eric, and this is brilliant find, Eric. 777, that the first Hollywood production code was written by Jesuit Daniel Aloysius Lord. We have, let's see, you know what? I'm going to play this and hopefully the audio comes through.
Castaway ends where it begins, and exactly halfway in between, at the 1 hour and 7 minute mark, Chuck literally performs the act of casting something away. An act which results in a very significant split.
Does he break a spear and cast it away? Let's see. Okay. So we have the Shakespeare in the name Shakespeare. There are 4 vowels. Very well. Turn to Psalm 46. You get the 46th word from the beginning, shake, and with the 46th word from the end, spear. Let's see, Castaway. Tom Hanks as Chuck Nolan in Castaway. So it's a 2000 film released in the U.S. December 7th, anniversary date of Pearl Harbor. And okay, the scene with 2:11 or 11:2 reference. We live, and this is from the film, we live or we die by the clock, and we never allow ourselves the sin of losing track of time.
And we never, ever allow ourselves the sin of losing track of time. Locally, it's 1:56. That means we've got 3 hours and 4 minutes before the end of today's package sort. That's how long we have. That's how much time we have.
Looking into Tom Hanks, but remember something about him. 311. Okay, Tom Hanks. His family religious history is Catholic and Mormon. One journalist characterized Hanks's teenage self as being a Bible-toting evangelical for several years. Interesting. Let's see. Mandatory sheltering in place in 2020 on March 11. March 11, 2020. Tom Hanks tweeted testing positive for the C-19 or the Crown V, the Crown Victoria. And interesting article a year later on 2021, March 11, so 3/11. What day did the coronavirus pandemic take over your life? What day did it really start to feel real? For most people in the US, it was March 11, 2020. That's when our sheltering in place began. By that night, the C-19er had transformed from a blurry threat to a divorce from normal life. Schools and entertainment began to close. Then President Donald Trump addressed the nation, announcing a suspension of travel from Europe. The National Basketball Association halted its season. Tom Hanks got it. Even the experts at the WHO would agree March 11th was a turning point. That was the date they officially declared the C-19er outbreak a pandemic. We remember March 2013, the Papal Conclave that led to Jorge Mario Bergoglio's papal ascension and him ascending to the papacy March 13th, 2013. March 12th, 1622 is the canonization date of Ignatius Loyola, Francis Xavier, and Teresa Avila by Gregory XV. Briefly discussed this in a previous video. Okay, so Castaway. You have this mirroring in a Joker. Joker was U.S. release date October 4th, 2019. October 4th being the feast day of Francis of Assisi. You know what? I think I may even have that in my notes, but not on this page. So we have the feast day of Francis of Assisi. So we have this appearance 3 times in the clock of Joker, reverse mirror and Castaway 3 times, 311s, perhaps a cryptic reference to 311, even though it says 211, which appears 3 times. Not trying to make it more than what it is. We're now on the 30th of the this. Could this be the Sun Tzu reference for this March 11, 2022? A joke played by the Trickster. A Castaway director born May 14th, the feast day of Saint Corona, and has a son, Alexander Francis. The director also Robert Zemeckis attended Catholic grade schools. Attended a Catholic grade school in his youth. And we can skip to our next page of notes. You can't make the shite up. Sip of water. What can I add before beginning this? Okay, jumping to this page. To add a layer, we have Wrath of Man, 2021 film, cryptic film about organ donation, directed by Guy Ritchie, possibly a long relation to Lorenzo Ricci. The film had an international release date of April 22nd, 2021, almost 1 year to the day when the Nova Scotia shooting spree took place and 22 were murdered. So while sheltering in place in 2020, an event took place in Canada, Nova Scotia.
In the middle of a major manhunt, it's hard to picture a real police officer pulling into a parking lot and getting out this casually just to change what he's wearing. Turns out that man's the target of the manhunt, caught Sunday morning on this surveillance video shared with police. His killing spree underway since the night before. By 10:55 a.m., he's seen here in Millbrook, with police tweeting 9 minutes later he's been spotted nearby traveling southbound in the Brookfield area. They'd already warned the gunman was driving a real-looking RCMP car, but that caution, it seems, came more than 2 hours after a key witness told police, though there may be a reason for the delay, says this former Mountie.
Could that have led to more false complaints as the public sees real police cars, and then you get these erroneous complaints all over the place?
Notice the mock RCMP cruiser has no license plate, but the killer is wearing parts of a real Mountie uniform, complete with a patch visible on his right sleeve. Notice the mock RCMP cruiser has no license plate, but the killer is wearing parts of a real Mountie uniform, complete with a patch visible on his right sleeve.
That started April 19th and ended on started April 18th and finished on April 19th. You wear okay, we'll get to that in a second. So pause that. So Nova Scotia shooting spree took place where 22 were murdered. Guy Ritchie has a birthday that is September 10th, one of the 2 feast days listed for St. John Francis Regis. I believe there's one feast day celebrated June 16th, and there's an alternate that's listed as September 10th, which is interesting. Let's see. Wrath of Man, I call it Mark of Cain. Features Jason Statham, whose character IHS, is crime boss, but applies and gains a job as security officer for an armored car company that's been having trucks ambushed and robbed. He is intended to find the son's killer by acting as a wolf in sheep's clothing, literally putting on the uniform of the security officer.
He's not a cop. But if he's not a cop, what is he?
A while back, we lost 2 guards, a civilian too.
There was an investigation.
They still haven't found the scum who did it.
You were in an accident. Mama's son. He didn't make it.
I can do it in 2 weeks. You only wish you could do it in 20 years. And I do bear a grudge. In summary, the liver, the lungs, the spleen, the heart.
That conversation, the one with a loved one, about organ and tissue donation. Margaret Miller hadn't given it a thought. That is, until that day, 17 years ago, when her son Bruce died in a car crash. A police officer off duty at the time, he seemed invincible to her. Having to speak for him once he was dead was almost too much to bear.
At that point, it was like, no, we're not going there, we're not thinking about that.
Dr. Steve Bede runs the Nova Scotia Organ and Tissue Donation Program and is a proponent of a new law that presumes you are an organ donor upon death, helping families with that difficult conversation at their worst hour.
We are presuming that if individuals had not registered to opt out or told their families or loved ones that they did not want to opt out, then we will proceed with donation if medically appropriate.
But the law still respects those who decide not to donate.
We specifically built an opt-out registry for those individuals who choose that. So my hope is that we're providing the best end-of-life care and we're supporting families, and most of them will decide to donate.
There has always been a gap between those who support donation and those who officially register. And it matters, because the need for life-saving organs and tissue is so massive.
In Atlantic Canada, there's around 300 people who are awaiting an organ. We've had, for most of the last decade, about 20 donors for the entire year. So missing a single donor is a big deal.
We in Nova Scotia will be trailblazers on this issue.
And so Nova Scotia's Human Organ and Tissue Donation Act, a first of its kind in North America, aims to save more lives. It took political clout to make it happen.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Bill 133, the Human Organ and Tissue Donation Act, be now read a third time and do pass.
Nova Scotia Premier Stephen McNeil pushed for this, essentially making every Nova Scotian a donor unless they opt out of the program.
I want your liver. Fuck. The lungs.
The heart, Ramon. Don't forget the heart. Aim for the heart or you'll never stop me.
Let's see. There's an the film is obviously is loaded with a lot of symbolism, but something that obviously stuck out for me here. We got the number 2411 at eye level with H, and also behind the eye level of, and of course, the viewer's eye level, it's inevitable with Boy Sweat Dave. So 2411, so November 24th is the death day anniversary for Lorenzo Ricci. And is it a possible significant date to the director Guy Ritchie? So, and in this scene, or leading up to this, in this scene, we have Boy Sweat Dave's radio call to his co-worker in film, Bullet, who's been out of the truck and who's not returning in a timely manner. You have this interesting question. Bullet, unless you found some beautiful blue-eyed Latino boy, you should have been back by now. The numbers on cars. Okay, let's address this. And it's, of course, has come up in other places, but let's address this specifically. 1798. 1798 is an interesting day for the ending of the. Okay, let's not get into. Okay, so how deep do you go down this rabbit hole? 1798, the papal head wound during the time of the Jesuit suppression. I believe there's a mark and the parentheses around this mark, this X mark in history in 1798. So cinematically, we have The Town, directed by Ben Affleck, released on September 17th, 2010. September 17th is the feast of the Stigmata of Francis of Assisi. Francis of Assisi's feast day is October 4th. You have the Joker film tie-in. Have briefly discussing Henrietta Lacks in Gila Cells. Henrietta has a death day of October 4th, 1951. We also have the October 4th is the death day anniversary of Teresa Avila, the uncredited source of the Marvel comic universe Thanos Gauntlet. You also have her exact date being the institution of the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar being created by Jesuit Christopher Clavius, and naming it Gregorian for Gregory the 13th. That goes again back in 1582. And October 4th is also the Jesuit Robert Bellarmine, his birthday. Interestingly enough, September 17th is Roberto Bellarmine's death and feast day. Okay, so 1798 in the town. Okay. The year we aren't taught to look at, specifically in any kirk or church, Kirk or Circe, where men are lured in by the goddess Circe and given wine and cakes and turned into swine. This is layered mockery. They know exactly what they're doing. This is obviously asking the question of Hollywood, filmmakers, directors, so on and so forth. I know this question has come up many, many times before. Where does the spiritual end and the natural begin? Where does inspiration come from? You have this scene in the town. GIF file. And then, of course, 1798 being marked on the car. Boston. There you go. Okay, so Wrath of Man, 2021 action filler, thriller heist. It certainly was filler. Definitely cannot filler as in it was bad. It's very good. Very good. Guy Ritchie from a script he co-wrote with Ivan Atkinson and Marn Davies, and is loosely based on the 2004 French film. Is listed liver. Okay, the film is broken into acts. Off by heart, I don't the number of acts, but the final act: liver, lungs, spleen, and heart. Is definitely an interesting allusion, I believe. So let's read this. So Jackson and Tom bring the team together. So this is from the film. Aiming to steal $150 million from the Fortico Depot on the Black Friday shopping weekend. There's the Black Friday. Not necessarily October 13th, but Black Friday is definitely has its umbilical cord stretched all the way back to that particular date at his apartment. So Jan, played by Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son. Jan is a Jan for Janus, the two-faced god. Jan, at his apartment, Jan finds a phone ringing in one of the money bags, which was planted there by H. Hargraves, or Jason Statham's character, to track his location. Hargraves confronts Jan with Dougie or David H's son's autopsy report before shooting him in the same place as Dougie was shot: the liver, the lungs, the spleen, and the heart. Of course, you can find the scene with the Wrath of Man ending clearly showcasing 211 PCE on the license plate. Okay, what can I get into? I will continue reading. No rabbit holes yet. Not unlike a seemingly stable Canadian. Okay. So we have this event in Nova Scotia, April 18th and 19th, 2020, while we are sheltering in place for the prolonged sheltering in place from the C-19er, the Crown Victorious, the Corona Triumphalis, the Mindset, which produces actions, The Mark of the Beast, Thoughts and Deeds. Not unlike a seemingly stable Canadian, a Nova Scotian who was a practicing denturist, allegedly dressed up as an RCMP officer and drove his restored and deckled police cruiser around Royal New Brunswick and Nova Scotia for it's winding me up now. Approximately 13 hours, killing 22 people during that time. The 22 who were sheltering in place had no idea what was coming. And where you have the so-called replica, this denturist, his replica vehicle. Apparently, he had a fetish for RCMP regalia and cars, and personally deckled this car with 28B11. The first instant I saw this image, this published image, it made me think of February 11th and February 28th, which were dates when Benedict XVI gave his resignation on in 2013. So 2011, he announced his intention to step down as White Pope, and on the 28th, officially stepped down from the papacy, which opened the door for March's papal conclave, where the first Jesuit Pope in history was elected, Francis Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who took the name Francis or Francis the First. Let's see. So we got the numbers on the car. Wrath of Man 66 Ford Mustang, appropriate for a film with a two-faced character named Bullet. Also a possible reference to Peter Yates' 1968 film Bullet, starring Steve McQueen as St. Francis Detective Frank, or Francis Bullet, and his what made the film, the driving, of course, the literally 10-minute car chase. No sound apart from your Dodge Charger and your Ford Mustang. So 68 Ford Mustang Fastback convertible, 211 PCE. Is it a reference to February 11th or November 2nd? And then, of course, the PCE. Is it an acronym for Passenger Car Exhibit, Peace, Pure, Concentrated Evil, or a play on Parende ac Cadaver? Considering Lorenzo Ricci's death day is already referenced, adding to Parende ac Cadaver. Okay, thank you, Eric. Codeword Barbelon. I know Doc Felipe referenced Codeword Barbelon some time ago, and Eric recently brought it up. Page 25 mentions the Jesuit constitutions, where Parende ac Cadaver is expanded to Parende ac si Cadaver esse. And then, of course, Wrath of Man. Here's our convertible Mustang with a license plate, and then back to, we have our 211 reference back into Joker, which in my previous notes, as we've already gone through, which is given to us 3 times. Is it an allusion to 311 today? And today, where I live, the province of British Columbia, the mask order has been dropped. Not the passport, though. That's for next month, early next month. We have an Castaway reference again. Okay, let's jump to this. So the 68 Mustang Fastback in Peter Yates' film is which McQueen drove in Bullet, JJZ109, and then of course I'm not the gematria guy. That's Zachary Hubbard and our Colonel Roy. So 10/9, October 9th, which just so happens to be the death date anniversary of the 13 Articles or Art of War translator Jean-Joseph Marie-Amyot in 1793. Is this a reference to Lorenzo Ricci through Jean-Joseph Marie-Amyot, SJ? And then I make a reference to the National Nanotechnology Day which is 10-9. Here we have our beautiful 68 Mustang Fastback, Steve McQueen. Okay, and then, of course, we know now that McQueen died of, well, we're told that he died of cancer in 1980. Oh my goodness, I'll have to look that up. I don't want to get his birthday and death and his death date switched. So interesting find I was looking for. So you have this on his IMDb page. You have February 1980. There were evidence of widespread metastasis. While he tried to keep the condition a secret, the National Enquirer disclosed that Steve McQueen had terminal cancer on March 11th, 1980. We won't get into this one here, but we have Peter Yates directing, amongst others, Jackie Earle Haley in the 1979 drama Breaking Away. In this scene, you have Haley's character, Moocher, punching the time clock, 9/11. Are you kidding me? Breaking Away was released July 13th, 1979, the day before the historic Bastille Day and Haley's birthday, or Jackie Earle Haley's birthday, which is July 14th. Just notice this, yeah. Let's see, what else can we get into? Do I get, no, let's leave that for now. I'll leave, let's see, let's end screen share. Stop screen. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for bearing with me through that. I do want to read something though. Code word Babylon. Again, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Doc Felipe. It's even referenced in Johnny's book, new book published February 12th, 2022, The Disciples of Ra. Okay, page 27. The constitutions, so the constitutions which Pope Paul III declared, this is the finger stroke of God when he was presented with them, which led to the papal bull, Regimini Militante Ecclesia, on September 27th, 1540. And I'll say it, just as we say it again, the same birthday as Google, September 27th. Okay, page 27. The constitutions gave the Jesuit superior general immense power, which is why art of war is important. Understanding the fasci symbolism, the centralized power of an article of war, a spear or axe, surrounded by a bundle of rods. Okay, so the general gives an immense power. The French lawyer Le Chalotet gives us insight into the ultra-fascist nature of the Society of Jesus and the power of its superior general. The general of the Jesuit order is invested with control over every aspect of government and regulation of the colleges of the society. From his orders, there is no appeal. Not even the Pope himself can rescind the general's interdict. Not only is he able to release from vows, he is also empowered to examine. Okay, let's start this again. The Jesuit superior general, not only is he able to release from vows, he is also empowered to examine by every means into the consciences of the members of the society. In short, the general is the society. I think. Okay, let's share screen again. I'm thinking this is okay. Nope, that's not right. Let's try this again. Let's share something. Share screen. In part, this is what's coming. We're going to get a little bit of hope for the average person with the average mindset, the common mindset. believing in the narrative. If you're not prepared, okay, I can. I've said it before. I mentioned it before in briefs. I believe the Batman is an allegory also for the Jesuit Superior General. But here we are taking on another form. But anyway, so we got Ukraine, we got Russia, we've got America, we've got Canada, and pick your country. And is this certainly isn't an altar call out, but I've been thinking about the Ides of March, and I will create a video or do a stream for that. And what I believe the Ides of March is a reference to and what it means, considering it was supposedly Shakespeare, aka Francis Bacon, aka Qualadio Alcoviva, who penned it. It is a reference to Messiah. Pardon me. The so-called Christianity that was given and brought to North America back in the Age of Discovery, or the Age of Exploration, the 16th century, through Jesuit missionaries, is not Christianity. It is a facade. We'll discuss the fourth vow at some point, but it is a blood oath, and maybe I'll even leave a link to it too. But clearly, it is about complete infiltration, dividing and conquering, owning all sides. We can specifically say both sides, both being the red or the blue, and any alternative side, and the color wheel. This isn't about pushing my beliefs. I am a born again Christian. I have an interesting story myself. My trust is in Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus of Nazareth, his life, his death, his resurrection. In the 3 days and 3 nights, not the Good Friday to Easter Sunday Jesus, or the zeitgeist Jesus, or the emaciated ring wraith hanging from the papal staff Jesus, or even the pectoral cross, the Osiris risen Jesus, but the sign of Jonah, 3 days and 3 nights, Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus of Nazareth. My trust is in him, which gives me hope. And if you can put your trust in him too, he will reveal to you who he really is, not some lie that's been propagated for over 500 years and more, but specifically this last 500 years under Jesuit direction. Anyway, this is your Hawkeye. I will leave it at that for now. Have a great evening, and bless you, your families. And until next time, I will say goodbye for now. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Okay, until next time.
Your punishment must be more severe.
Torture.
Yes. But not of your body. Of your soul.